All right, we want to welcome everyone to another episode of Speedway Pulse Media Podcast. Today we've got ADAC GT Masters driver Emil Gjerdrum joining us on the show today. Emil, want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to
A-
be here.
Absolutely. Emil, this year you're with a brand that's quite well known here in America, and it's obviously one of our top brands in our sports car racing series here, Ford, and with a great team, HRT. Want to talk us about, what it's like this season being with HRT and Ford?
Well, obviously it's been a tough season so far because it's been a new car for me. I'm used to driving with a Lamborghini GT3 car, and before that I did the GT4. So it's been tough trying to kind of get used to the car, but at the same time it's a really good team and they're doing everything they can to make sure we get some results. And yeah, we've been a bit unlucky in the races as well. I've done, as you said, GT Masters, but also NLS on the Nordschleife a race, and also a GT Winter Series a race. So I got the podium in the Winter Series and double podium as well now in GT Masters. So yeah, it's been not been too bad, but obviously I would like to have it like that a bit more often.
Obviously, both of us are racers, so I like to always start from where it began for you. When did, the bug kind of bite you to you want to chase this racing career?
Well, I've always kind of grown up with a family that's been really motorsport interested. My grandfather was a racer, my dad as well. However, they did it kind of more on a national hobby level, I would say, and not necessarily like professional. So, for example, my dad's always done historic racing, and that's basically also how my kind of yeah, career started because me and my little brother Storm always entered the races and joined there. So yeah, in general, it's always been kind of a dream to get to race yourself. And yeah, when it came possible doing karting and everything, it was just something I loved and something I wanted to keep going with. Now eventually as well. The historic racing actually made me do my kind of international step because one of the teams in the historic racing also did F4 and GT4 and stuff. BW Team Mickey Motorsport,
Oh yeah.
quite an iconic brand, I would say, and also iconic team. So this was a cool opportunity that popped up in 2022 when I was only 15 and a half years old at the time. And then yeah, I got to test the GT4 for the first time, and eventually also go on to do a race at the start of the year, and continued in 2023 for a full season. And actually, at the time, I became also the youngest, I think, ever to drive a GT car in general, like a proper FIA GT with the GT4, because we got like a, how can I say it, like yeah, we got approved to do it earlier, even though it should be 16 years old. But we got to do it at 15. So now, obviously, it's always been a dream of mine, and yeah, I'm really happy to be where I am now. So yeah.
Obviously, it's been, kind of a whirlwind, moving up the ranks really quickly. But before you went to GT, you started in Formula Ford in the open wheel side. Was that kind of at the time, was the open wheel what you wanted to chase, or was kind of you always knew you wanted to do more like the GT stuff?
Well, I guess for all of us, you always want to do F1, so that's
Yeah,
like the ultimate goal in first place, or not a goal, but more of a dream, I would say, for every racer. But then once you start thinking about it, it's 20 guys in the whole world, and for us, we're from a small country up in Norway. We don't have the budgets needed for this. We barely somehow make it through the GT ranks, and we just saw, and for me as well, I always thought that okay, I want to, of course, try to chase the impossible. But at the same time, when it's that impossible, it's just like yeah, you'll probably end up in GT3 anyways at the end of the day. It's just a matter if you spent not so much money, or if you spent I don't know what the guys do. They probably do like
at
$15 million
least.
plus or something,
Yeah.
and then they end up at the same spot. It's better to take the shortcut and get the experience early on instead of confusing yourself with doing lots of formulas and stuff. But yeah, the Formula Ford was a really good car for me to learn with no aero, no slicks, and all this. It's yeah, it's a really fun car. Obviously, unfortunately as well, it's not the same series as it was back in the days. In Norway, we were not that many cars, but it was great learning, and definitely yeah, something I really enjoyed. And even now, if I have a run in the Formula Ford, it's still quite fun. So no, it's a really nice car.
It's a shame, Formula Ford used to really be the proving ground, what racing used to be like when your dad and grandfather raced, that was the step into Formula One. Now it's, there's so many kind of confusion. There's so many different formulas you can get in. And so it feels like now that, while everyone wants to chase Formula One, that it's, a confusion game and the money costs so much more when you can, pay close to half the price and have, I think, just as good a career in, say, GT or maybe even prototypes.
Yeah. I mean, people are paying $1 million for a season of F4, and that's quite ridiculous if you ask me.
I agree.
F2 as well, and F3, and from the regional, all of this, it's way too much. Actually, I've seen in the US, you guys have some nice systems with the scholarships and stuff. If you win this, you get a lot of scholarships to go further, which is quite cool. But yeah, unfortunately, in Europe, we don't have that much of this. Um, it's some prize money here and there, which is of course always nice, but at the end of the day, you just end up spending it again. So yeah, no, it's yeah, just I think it's really important for everyone that wants to succeed to in general try to yeah dream the impossible, but be a bit reasonable as well.
Yeah, I noticed that there's not a lot of opportunities like what we have in the US. Think we see a lot more of the guys from Europe come over to America, if they're chasing the open wheel side, the whole road to Indy, you win the
Yeah,
championship and you get a scholarship to move up. Or even so with like the sports car racing with our IMSA championship, I'm sure with Ford, you're pretty familiar with the Ford development team that we have over here that's, racing all over. And so they've gotten good
yeah,
opportunities to, keep moving on. And so I think there's a lot of good opportunities over here in America, and a lot of people are starting to realize that, the American racing scene is, quite competitive. I mean, look at the field we have over in IMSA. Some of the guys that you compete with in GT Masters and NLS racing, they, do both. And so the American racing scene is quite, uh, let's see, what's the word?
competitive.
Yeah, competitive. Yeah, it's a real
Yeah,
competitive series, but,
I mean.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say the same. I mean, I've always thought that IMSA and all this has been really competitive, but especially now when you have IMSA, you have GT World Challenge America, you have Super Trofeo, you have the Mustang Challenge, which is mega, and all of the GT4 Michelin Pilot Sports and all this in the US. I think it's yeah, it's really interesting how it's become so big, and also in Europe, you have so many different series you can do. So it's really a matter of trying to step in the right direction, and yeah, it's yeah, high level wherever you go. So um, and also important to go the places where you know it's high level. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, and the American racing scene has definitely become even better now the last couple of years. So now it's cool.
Would that be something that you would want to in your future? Maybe step over here and do some of the big races like the Daytona 24, Sebring 12 hour, Petit Le Mans?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that would be really cool. It would be something I definitely would enjoy. So, no, especially like Daytona and stuff. But even the Indianapolis 6 hours in a Ford or something would be cool. So, no, it's a lot of opportunities that will pop up. And for now, I'm quite focused with what I'm doing. But for sure in the future, maybe next year, it would be cool to try to look out for some more opportunities. And then the goal is then also to stay within the Ford
Ford family.
program. To yeah, and my dream is obviously to become a Ford factory driver or a factory driver in general, but preferably for Ford. That's also kind of the brand that I've grown up with my dad racing a historic Ford Capri.
Okay.
So it's always been kind of special for me, and the old escorts and all this. It's yeah, really nice cars, and the brand itself lives and breathes motorsport. They do everything like NASCAR, drag racing, off-road, rally, GT, F1, everything. So no, I think it's definitely the place to be at the moment, and for my own part, I'll try to make it up the ranks and hopefully succeed with that dream. So.
I like so much about Ford, obviously, not only as an American, but you see the CEO of Ford hopping in race cars and racing with you guys week in, week out, like with Mustang
Yeah.
Challenge here in IMSA. Jim Farley did the first 3 rounds at Sebring, Mid-Ohio, and Laguna Seca, and then came over to Europe and did the historic Le Mans. So, you don't see that out of many manufacturers that the CEOs or just high-ranking officials in the company hopping into race cars, and he lives and breathes motorsport, not only the road cars that you see on the streets every day, but he also, lives and breathes the cars that's on the track every day. So I think as a Ford, that Ford is in probably one of the best positions it is, not only for the road cars, but also the race teams.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you don't, as you said, you don't see a lot of CEOs going and jumping around in the race cars. So the passion in general is crazy at Ford. Like on the spot 24 hour, I wasn't unfortunately not racing there this year, but I was there to support the team and Ford. But it was quite impressive to see how many people they actually brought over from the US. Even like the marketing team that was there only for social media and press releases was like more than 15 people. And then obviously you had the bosses of racing and all this, which was also there, and some engineers and Multimatic guys, and also M Sport guys, which is yeah, also connected to Ford. So no, it's so big, so huge, everything, and also the support we have in GT Masters is mega with at least I would say five plus people from the manufacturer only for GT Masters each weekend. So it's quite yeah, it's quite a handful and shows that they want to yeah, push forward, and also yeah, grow the program bigger now in Europe as well. And with the Ford Mustang, it's really not a lot of cars. It's probably, I don't know, 30 cars in the whole world, or even less at the moment. So and a couple of them are wrecked already. So it's definitely interesting to see how they really want to succeed with what they have now, and then yeah, they probably have plans as well to expand this program later on and do more across the world basically.
Yeah, I
So
think
no, it's really really cool.
I think they're trying to get forward. Every major continent has a racing series. Like in Europe, there's so many great series, and Ford is involved in so many of those series. America with
Yeah,
IMSA, NASCAR, you name it, it's everywhere in Ford or with in America. But also, I think they're trying to tap into some to the Asian market. I think that
yeah.
that's something that they're really looking into. But from your perspective, though, starting in GT4 with BWT, was that the best situation? Because obviously everything happens a little slower in a GT4 car, but was that the best step for you to prepare you for GT3? Because obviously you got to test a lot of different GT3 cars before your major race debut, tested with Walkenhorst in the Aston Martin and then with in the BMW.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, GT4 was definitely the right step. I did 2 seasons for me, to be honest, because I got yeah, quite into it just after the first season. I think the best thing for me would be to move on after the first one. But we wanted to get some results, and unfortunately, I was unlucky on the second year in GT4. But we also have to remember that actually, when I started GT4, I already had I had only done 1 year of car racing, and before that, I did karting, so I didn't have a lot of experience, and yeah, the GT4 was the right step for sure. And then also in later time, I've, as you said, tested with Valkenhorst in Aston. I tested BMW, I tested the Merc, I tested the Lambo, I tested the Audi, I tested what else? Pretty much all of them, I guess. Only not the Ford before the first year. But it's really also really interesting to see the difference between the different cars because the philosophy is more or less the same in the aero corners, but then in the slow speed corners they're really, really, really different. And also, yeah, high speed as well, but not as big of a difference because how you get kind of the rotation. Some cars you have to trail brake really bad with. Some cars it's best to just trail brake a bit and then go off and let the diff do the work basically. But also some cars you don't do any of this, so you just brake and then the car will do itself. So it's yeah, it's really really interesting to see it and also the different systems, traction control, ABS, all this to see how some of them are actually really slowing you down on the exit of the corner while some other of them are just helping you. So and yeah, really really cool to test different cars, and for me it was necessary to do it to make sure I found a car that I was really comfortable with, considering I was still young when I moved up to GT3 last year at 18 or 17 at the time. And it was yeah, important to do this, I think.
Do you feel that it gives you kind of an advantage over some of the drivers that you've been able to hop in so many of the GT3 cars that you can compete against, that you kind of know the tendencies of the car? Obviously, you're still, fairly new with the Mustang though, but compared to like to the BMW and the Merc and, Austin and Lambo that, so know what you know pretty well that you kind of know their tendencies on some of the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably predict which car is best at this track and this track. And this track, obviously, the BOP plays a big role as well. But I think the coolest thing is maybe when I have a fight with a BMW or something, I know that here my strengths are and here the BMW strengths are, because I've actually felt it. So, so this is the cool thing that I can actually know that okay, but he can't brake this late, so I can do this and this and this, and he doesn't have the traction out of the corners like this and this, or that I don't have the best traction some corners, and then I have to make sure the car is in a proper straight line before I go on. And when you're racing against other cars, I mean, one thing is driving the Ford normally, but another thing is racing it. I mean, I'm new to the car. Don't misunderstand. I'm quite used to it now, so I can manage to produce some good lap times and all this. It's just that when you properly know a car, you can squeeze out the final tenths, and this is the kind of thing that I'm working on at the moment. And it's also hard when you're only in the car for, well, maybe 8 weekends, a bit more in the year, or only in this car. I mean, I do some other racing as well, but with the Ford, it's hard to get used to a car that you don't drive every week or so, like the factory drivers. So it's definitely getting there. And like Laos String, as I said, we had the double podium and we had good success when we weren't that unlucky. So it's yeah, it's coming, getting there. And but yeah, as just answering your question, it's quite cool to see the different cars and to race against them. So
Obviously, getting a double podium at Ring, that has to give you a lot of momentum going forward that, that you can contend for podiums and victories in this car that, that has to give you a lot of confidence as a driver, obviously within your first year in the car.
yeah, yeah, it definitely did because we knew that the speed was there, but we were just unlucky in 2 first weekends. Unfortunately, we were also unlucky in the last weekend now at Nürburgring, where in their first race, I qualified P5, which was not too bad, with a not the best BOP we had at the time. So it was not too bad. And I get up to P3 as well on the first lap. So here I was really happy. I delivered the car in the pits in P4, but unfortunately I did a speeding in the pit lane. So we got like a penalty lap, and my teammate was also unlucky and got the full course yellow infringement. So we got 4 penalty laps, which equals what is it, 5 seconds? Yeah, I would say 5 seconds times four then. So yeah, you're already at 20 seconds, and at this time you can't really compete anymore. So we ended up quite far in the back for race one. Race two, we ended P7, but I got a proper hit from behind in the last stint. So unfortunately, this made it hard, not only to fight, but also we lost a lot of positions because of it. And I also got blocked in the pit lane. So without this, we would probably end up P4, maybe P3, maybe yeah, somewhere around there. That's for the race number two. So. No, it was really unfortunate because we saw that the podium possibilities was there both races, but yeah, it's not always like it is. It's racing, so the goal is now to keep on focus and get some results at Salzburg, which is in Austria, quite old school track. I'll get back to that one because I had a quite bad accident there last year, which was yeah, a bit scary. And also for Hockenheim, we hope to be there. So we need to get some points for the championship, but also yeah, some similar results because if I want to become a factory driver like I talked about, I need to show what I'm capable of and deliver when it matters. So this is the main goal basically.
Do you feel that, getting on the podium was kind of a full circle moment when you look back at, your GT3 career started your first race in 2017 with the Lamborghini team, and now you've, made it this far with Ford and it made it to the podium. Do you feel, a full circle moment that podiums and wins are achievable?
Yeah, it was 2025 with a Lambo.
Oh, was it 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started car racing in 22, so
Oh,
Yeah, no, but yeah, definitely. I mean, when you see it's achievable, it's definitely nice because then you know that it's possible. And in last string, it was even possible to do a double win. To be totally honest with you, uh, but it's up to the BOP again. So this would also help us. But if we did better qualies, we would end up even further up. So. No, it's definitely nice to see what's possible and yeah, also for example with the calls it's so tight. It's like under tenths from P1 to P6, P7, so it's really hard to get that final bit sometimes. And to utilize the peak of the tires of the Pirelli tires, which is also really hard. But no, it's really nice to see that it's possible and to show that we can deliver. So yeah.
A lot of your career you've been chasing, getting your A permit for the Nordschleife to do I know probably a big dream of yours is to compete at the 24 hours in Nürburgring. Talk about what that's been like, having to start at the bottom, like I think you've done some of like the BMW M2 cars and kind of had to work your way up and even, had a little bit of on-track battle with a four-time world champion Verstappen. Kind of talk about what that's been like for your career. This year you got to compete in an NLS race in the GT3 class.
Yeah, I had a bit of struggle, as you said, with getting the permit. I started no, yeah, summer 2025. That was just after I turned 18. So I first did one race to get, because you need 2 weekends with 7 laps at least, clean laps on each weekend. And the first one, what happened there? Yeah, it was an endless light race. So they said that it didn't count, which is stupid because the only difference is that it's not GT3 cars there, but you still do the laps and you still have GT4 and you still have all the other cars. And to be honest, it's actually harder to let the GT4 pass than to let the GT3 pass when you're in slow car, because the GT3 go like this, but the GT4 you actually have to back off. So this is was a bit strange. And the next one, my wheel exploded.
Oh
So this was a
wow.
bit crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was scary on the Nordschleife.
yeah, really. And then yeah, wheel exploded. What happened next? I drove a BMW after this. First, I drove a Hyundai with Valkenhorst, and then I did a BMW 3i 18i 2014 model or something. Um, and this car, I finally got my first 7 laps, but then I already did 2 weekends, so it was not the best. But it is how it is. It's nothing we could do anything about. And then I needed my last 7 laps, which I planned to do with the M2 in January 2026. But then the race was cancelled in MLS1. So it was snow on the track, which is also a bit
Yeah, that
crazy.
was
Or it wasn't January, it was March actually, but still really crazy. It was like sunny, 15 degrees the day before Celsius, and then suddenly snow on track. So this was a bit surreal. But then yeah, thankfully got the permit after all, because they said that okay, you drive in GT Masters, it's our own series with the ADAC, so they understood that yeah, it wouldn't make sense to put me on a car for another race when I already had a lot of races experience. And then only the weekend after, I managed, or I got asked by my team HRT to be on the pro factory lineup for that race, which was quite cool. First time in the GT3 on Nordschleife, it's obviously gives you goosebumps. It's so special and so quick, and you have so much aero, so much grip everywhere. And going around there trying to make sure you get to the limit is quite special. With that many corners as well, and jumps and the carousel, all this, really special. Um, yeah, I drove also with Verstappen. So in the practices, I drove side by side with him, which was quite cool. In the race, however, we qualified a bit further back. I didn't do the quali; it was my teammates, DTM drivers Arjun Maini and Fabio Scherer. But it was the first race for the team with the Evo package on the Mustang GT3, so it was quite hard, and we didn't really manage to get the proper setup before quali. But in the race, it was better and better, and I think we ended up P11 or something out of 40 GT3 cars.
so
And
not too bad.
no, it was not too bad at all. And for me, I was really happy because it was my first time, and normally you're many seconds off, and this wasn't the case here. It was a couple of seconds, but on such a long track, it's really nothing. So no, I think it was really special and really cool. And if someone has the possibility to do it, I would definitely go on the Nordschleife and drive wherever car you can drive because it's such a special track. And yeah, everyone always says that it's the favorite track and so special. So it's a bit cliche to say it, but to be completely honest, it's really special. So definitely something yeah, I recommend doing.
When you started from the, really slow cars all the way to the GT3, is it the sense now that everything just happens so much quicker in the GT3 car on the Nordschleife since you know what it's like to start from the bottom and go all the way now to the top class?
Yeah, I mean, I got the kind of feeling like I got first time testing GT4 when was used to the Formula Ford. As you said, I drove in 22. I drove five different series, just bunch of different stuff. Also in Germany, in Norway, front wheel drive, 67 horsepower, rear wheel drive, 550, which was the Merc GT4 I tested. It's the same feeling on the Nordschleife, to be honest. Like you just feel that everything is so much quicker. But at the same time, actually, with the GT3, it felt more safe than in the small cars because the small cars, it's on Dottinger, the back straight, long back straight. You top out at about 260 almost in the slow cars, but then you only do 275 with the GT3s because they have the aero, so it stops them. But the acceleration up to this speed is a lot better in GT3, and all the corners is better. It's just on this straight. But there, for example, in the small cars, it starts to wiggle like this, and it's really sketchy. So no, it felt way more relaxed, and even though it shouldn't do it, it felt more relaxed and felt, yeah, definitely more fun, I would say. And you could actually go racing with someone on the track and not only try to manage to keep the car on yourself. So no, it was really special. And one moment I can't forget about this was when the M3 Touring, you know, the car they made.
Yeah.
I had a proper fight with this car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the factory drivers. This was crazy. And this car is so fast down the straight. But then, because of the aero, it struggles a bit in some corners, especially slow speed corners, because it has so much weight on the rear wheels. So this was quite special when I could kind of fight with this car that was launched and was new and everything was special. So it was definitely I would say the best weekend to do it on because I had both Verstappen there and the M3 Touring, and yeah, as I said, to fight it against this car was really surreal.
It's
So
really
no, it was really
It's
cool.
it's really a neat car that, it finished in top five overall, so it had a lot of speed, but like you said, the Nordschleife is such a, complicated circuit that a lot of the corners are blind and it's so flat out through there. Do you find it really hard to pass even, into GT3 just because of how many cars are on track there at one time? Because you can really get boggled up in sectors.
Yeah. What's a good thing on the Nordschleife is actually that everyone has a bit of margin, even though you think that everyone has like this is the breaking point and you do this and this and this. Yes, you do it, but you don't break on the final meter, let's say, because you never know if it's oil that's spilled out, and all the races is endurance races, so you don't lose a lot of rolling a bit into the corner. It's not a lot, maybe like 1, 2, 3 meters, but you're not on the final limit, and this also means that if you want to overtake someone, you know that if you go on the inside and it's if it's not oil, it will be fine. If it's oil, the other guy will fly out first. So you would have the problem anyways, let's say. So you can actually dive on someone quite a lot, but you have to look for opportunities. And Nordschleife is also a track where it's easy to make mistakes, even though it's not small mistakes, but because it's so narrow at some points, you can hit the curb like a bit here, and then it upsets the car, and then you're managing to get past. So it's yeah, definitely easier to make mistakes there than somewhere else, and especially if you have a car flashing the lights from behind, like they always do. So no, it's hard, yes, but I would say if you try hard, it's not too bad. Like for example, with the Porsche, I had a big fight with dynamic Porsche with some factory drivers. I had a fight with them on the Nordschleife in the race, but I managed to take them on the GP track because turn one on the GP is probably the best spot to overtake, I would say.
I would
Because
agree.
if you get the proper kind of launch, you can dive quite hard, and even if you overshoot a bit, you can
Mhm.
king. So even on the straight, if you're just like, I don't know how many meters behind, but oh yeah, 50 meters behind, you can still manage to get past because of the slipstream is so crazy. So no, it's really cool, but you have to just be clever, and then it'll be as hard as on any other track. So yeah,
And the margin for error on the Nordschleife is a lot higher than on most tracks because of the lack of runoff room. The barriers, it's a very narrow circuit. It doesn't look that way sometimes from the TV angles because a lot of it's, from the sky. But when you look down at it, there's, one mistake and you put a wheel off, you can end up in the barriers very easily
yeah,
there. And that's what makes it so difficult compared to a lot of the tracks, around the world.
yeah. And not only this, like even though some places it's a bit more of a runoff area, let's say. It's only grass, it's no gravel. Like it's one corner where it's gravel, where Lawrence Fantor crashed for where was it? Not this 24, but the last one
Yeah,
in the
last
sh
year in the
yeah in the
qualifying.
share. Yeah, this corner is the only one with gravel. The rest of them basically has, or maybe it's one or two more. But or no, it's more. Yeah, it's definitely more. But in general, like most of the places, it's grass. So, and if it's been rain, then the grass almost accelerates you. So it's definitely not easy, not easy at all, and you have to always keep this in mind. If you do a track limit on the Nordschleife, you end up in the barrier. If you do a track limit on Spa or something, you just go off and it's fine. So yeah, no, it's definitely special. It's really cool.
Obviously, NLS is back in action this weekend. Will you be joining the team this weekend on the Nordschleife?
No, actually not this weekend. I would love to drive, but it's always about a matter of budgets, as we spoke about earlier. So this is how it is, and I'll definitely sit at home and cheering for them on the TV. But yeah, I'm not unfortunately not joining, watching or driving this weekend. No.
Emil, I think this was a great segment with you. I know we had to keep it kind of short for you. Obviously, the time restraints between me in America and you over in Europe. But one, thank you for coming on, and I think you already got an exciting career in front of you, and I can't wait to see what happens next. We got a good season ahead of us still with GT Masters, and coming off two podiums. I think there's a lot of hope and that we can see up front, and hopefully we can see over here in America, and who knows, Le Mans. Continuing at Nürburgring the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, no, definitely it would be cool for sure. So no, thank you very much, and yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. We'll keep in touch and we'll thank everyone for joining in and keeping an eye out on Emil Gjerdrum as he continues his career in his with the Ford GT team at HRT. Thank you, Emil.
Yeah, thank you.